touching bases on the video I did last night. I think I want to clear it up to be a bit more clearer, a bit more clarity, I think.
Yeah.
Because when watching it back, I was seeing it, then I thought, there's just some things on there are a bit not explained too well. So, this is about companies and CEOs, yes?
Yeah.
And rather than having a CEO, it's all replaced. Anyway, we'll get into that. So, let's say if I was to make a company like Next Generation Water Company, yes?
Yeah.
Next Generation transport system, which we already know, which would be a train, yes?
Mm-hmm.
And a bus company, and etc. What about a new type of food growing?
Yeah.
Solar farm, moon farm, or whatever it may be, yes?
Yeah.
So if I just put F farm. Okay, now all of these, let's say,
Yeah.
I'm going to use some of these as just example, yes? That let's say I invented them, yeah?
Mm-hmm.
I didn't, but let's just say I did, yes?
Yeah.
Maybe the S farm. I like the idea of that.
Yeah.
Now, all of these money that comes from all of these things are going to start off. Okay, so let's say if you took all of this and you were a .gov, or you were someone who just really was caring about your country and your future.
Mm-hmm.
So some people give out their, I don't know, when they pass on, they pull out that life insurance and they give it over to the RLNI, I believe it is, or the sea boats that go out and rescue people and different things like that. I just wonder why you can never give it to your tax pot. Some people don't have any children are like, I don't know what to do with my inheritance. Well, just stick it in a cash pot for educational purposes. If you have no children, there are many other children out in the world that you can do great things for. But anyway, I just wonder about that one. That's just what I was thinking about, what to do with your inheritance. And the tax pot, as in a very different way of understanding the tax pot, that it's going to go on to ensure education, different things like that, blah, 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 and X, Y, Z. Now, if you get a loan and you pay back your loan and you make something like this, rather than having a CEO, you then put this into the tax pot, all of these different things, yes, all your different companies. And this then starts to trickle in money, a steady income, yes, that then goes into the tax pot, constantly firing into the tax pot. As time goes on, the company will make a slight bit more money. And a slight bit more money, yes? And this money begins to grow, yes?
Yeah.
But you can guarantee that 5 years ago, the money 5 years later is a lot more going into that, whereas more people are using it and it's rising slightly. Nothing mean, but it's going up just to meet supply and demand. If fuel goes up and some of these are running on fuel, for example, if some of these needed more solar panels, then again, it would go up slightly and increase. As this increases, this money pays into the tax pot. But I think what we've got in our way of doing things here, this side of the field, we see where we have all of these things inside a .gov, yes?
Yeah.
And somewhere along the lines, someone comes into power and then sells all of these on. Yes?
Yeah.
And as they sell it, they, rather than having this steady income, you get this thing called a false boom. It's an illusion because it's very short-lived. So they then sell it, douche. And because it's sold for more than what is trickling at that steady ratio, it exceeds above it really fast all of a sudden. And that's because the sale on here put an additional 1 billion from this one. And then let's say you got 2 billion for this one, you got 1 billion for this one, and whatever it may be, yes? And then you got 2, or let's say 3 billion for this one, yes? This really rocks past the stability.
Yeah.
And then this frees up some money. However, if this money from this boom is mismanaged, you have a very big problem on your hands. As a whole nation, you are going to feel this. Why? Well, because where you had this steady zone, if this money goes in the wrong way, and it usually does, you're going to flatline. and then you're going to have no more money coming in. And why is that a big problem? Well, that might not be a big problem because we have sort of voting system every so many years, yeah?
Yeah.
Then this gets passed on to the next person. So you were here when you sold it, when it was sold.
Mm-hmm.
Let's say your particular party.
Yeah.
Your particular party was here, and now a new party is in.
Yeah.
What do they now have to do? What is it they've now got to try and find? Because remember, when you were in this comfortable zone, the zone of stability here, which was past here when you left,
Mm-hmm.
yes? It then went to here under the next party that was in, and now under the new party, which is you. What have you got to find? Because you're now down here. There is nothing coming in, and it is now below the stability line.
Yeah.
What are you forced to do? What would you be forced to do in this situation? Do you know?
You don't have money, so you have to borrow or tax more.
Rise taxes
Yeah.
you have to borrow on already a very big debt, yes?
Mm-hmm.
But in the good news of all of this, let's say, if you can even find it, and it ain't good news, who's making money?
The people who bought, or the companies who bought
The CEOs
yeah.
of all of these now new companies that bought it. And now, ask yourself another question. Are these paying a tax? No, because they're pushing it on to you.
Mm-hmm.
So now on top of this, you have to also pay for their tax. Because they don't want to pay it with all of their money. Which, this really kind of irritates me a little bit. Like, just a bit. So all of these things that the next party would have to do, yes?
Yeah.
Who's going to hate them for that? Well, the people are, but whose real fault is that? And if we want to look at fault, who took us beyond that level, that slip? So you'll see the graph, it will sort of rise up, yes? And then you get this sort of steady line, yes?
Mm-hmm.
Then you get this peak, yeah, this massive peak
Yeah, and
for a little bit, and then this starts to happen
yeah.
in your graph.
Mm-hmm.
You are now beyond what you did when you started. Your level of stability, although it's still increasing because of... And now, when you go past this zone here, this is where the trouble starts. And while this is happening, companies that bought all of this, they spiked to pay for the company initially, yes?
Mm-hmm.
And then this starts to happen.
And they make everything more expensive, so their rise will be faster. Okay.
So you have one that does this, and you have one, the CEO, and then begin to do this. You tell me whether that should be allowed to happen.
No, because it was from taxpayers' money.
So, well, I shouldn't really remove that. We should keep that in there because this is the topic. S-Farm, I think that was.
Yeah.
Buses.
Yeah.
Service or different stuff like this.
Yeah.
Blah, blah, X, Y, Z. And you would have to understand something. Can a business owner get hold of a party, make a political party just to sell these off? Just to remove this?
Yeah.
Friends, right?
Yeah, friends in a
Friends
party.
now.
Yeah.
I don't know if I quite did that right, Mr. Nen. Don't really care. Friends.
Yeah.
So I would say that business individuals or mindsets in politics is probably not a good idea. Well, don't let me convince you otherwise, because if they believe to sell everything to all of their friends and make their friends richer and give loads of tax cuts to these individuals, someone's going to have to find this. And who is it? The people.
Yeah.
The people will be punished in all aspects of this. And then, let's say housing as well.
Yeah.
What about housing?
Yeah, well, it's the same, isn't it?
No, well, they sell a house.
Yeah,
They
yeah.
sell a load of houses over to a corporation that's very greedy, buys up a lot of houses. Sure, I'm not on about individuals who buy their houses. No, I'm on about individuals that buy so many houses that have like 6,000 of them, and about 30% of these houses they can't look after. 30% of their houses they can't look after. And if they do, they play all their games and they take so long and there's so this and they just don't care. They play their little games that you are difficult customers and you are this, this and this. How dare you ask for anything more than what we've given you?
Mm-hmm.
With that whole attitude. Then you'll have to say to me, it's kind of like this, yeah? If I got two hands and I got to walk, how many eggs can I hold in my hands? And a wise person would say, 1 and 1, yes? You can hold 1 and 1. Well, maybe you could do 2. Maybe you could do 3. But let's take it from a CEO. Let's stack them up on each of our hands and see what we do. And a few that fall down, and another few that fall down when you're walking, and another few that fall down and break and break and break. By the time you get to the table, you may as well have just took 2 at a time and gone back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. Because it shows that if you had one house in one hand with one individual, they would look after it.
Yeah.
I can be assured on that one. When you've got a company that's overbought stuff, there are things that then start to erode away. And by and large, they've got insurance.
Yeah.
I've got this protection, that.
Yeah.
I don't care. As long as my money, profits are still going up. And again, it wouldn't be fair to say that with all people. I'm just saying that most. And I think that if we start to have a look out and about, we're starting to see this whole houses start to become in less than great conditions, to be honest. And it's not just that, it's a lot of other stuff as well. And then I ask anybody that is now upcoming to make their own business and different things like that. I would sidestep my CEO-ness as long as it went back into the pot. And I'm not saying that all of the money goes into the pot. Well, no, far from it. Because, there's version 1 that is built and the profit. I mean, if you're making 40 billion.
Yeah.
40 billion.
Yeah.
40 billion, yes?
Yeah.
I know it sounds like a lot of money, doesn't it? Yeah? 40 billion. And you can't pay a tax. And yet the people that are on £2,000 per month can pay a tax. 40 billion? Wow, that's something to me. If my company was making 40 billion, yes? Or any type of billion for that matter,
Yeah.
I would put it in here. As long as my staff had some good wages, yeah?
Yeah.
As long as I had enough for the next step, yes?
Yeah.
So version 2.0 that could, be funded. Anything left over from that per year into here. Why would I put it into here? You'll be like, well, you must love this, and well, no, because what about a child who is coming up into the world, is born into a situation that they didn't choose? Is there going to be money from this in that pot to help them?
Yeah.
Well, yes, I think that there would be. I wouldn't control what this money was spent on, but I know that it would. What about roads?
Yeah.
NHS? Dentist? Again, still falls under NHS. What about if you were owning your own houses within the sector? let's say if .gov was owning the houses, would there be enough for the houses to be fixed? So fixes.
Yeah.
Yes, there would. Would there be enough to do the furlough scheme if that situation were to happen again? Yes. What about new technology that puts us on the map a bit as a whole nation?
Yeah, we need new technology. We need to renew the train fleet, bus fleet. Yeah.
How much would there be in for parks? That are free, by the way.
Yeah.
But they're not free because they come from the tax pot.
Yeah.
But even still, to give somewhere for kids to go in communities and different things like that and have a bit of fun. Come on, we were all kids once. They were great fun. Still love them to this day. No, I'm just kidding. But still, you know, it is. You can see the great fun there, yes?
Mm-hmm. More nature for people.
More terrain to go walk in. More holiday parks. Different things like this. Whatever it may be. More better sea defences. What could this money go into and be utilised in a way? However, with all of these things that go into this pot, I think that we need some sort of different system in place to protect it. So that if these new companies start to go into, and there are a lot of individuals, and sure, people will be like, well, what money will I make? What money will you... I can assure you that just on a managerial job would be the highest. You use AI where you possibly can for certain things.
Mm-hmm.
I think that you'll do very well. You then open the door for subcontractors. What are subcontractors? Well, this then means that everyday people that were in the 9 till 5 could go and create a business and be subcontracted to go and do some fixes. How imagine that? Owning your own company where you're paid quite nicely.
Yeah.
It'll help your family and it'll help the country as a whole as well. I think that would be great. That's if people want that. I just think it opens up a massive door. But if these things must be protected and not via law, law deals with other things that need to be subject to change, yes?
Mm-hmm.
Which is fair enough, right? Because there were some old laws that were going and they worked for the time.
Yeah.
But now, those laws don't make any sense to bring into the modern world because these things just drop off. So it makes sense to A, remove it, or B, incorporate it to go a little bit further because people sidestepped and went indirectly to the law. Yes?
Yeah.
Kind of loophole, if you want to call it that. So laws, by dynamic, need to be able to be tailored to change.
Mm-hmm.
But laws can't protect. Would these be called country assets?
Yeah.
So if we've got a water company and then we give it off to somebody else and the water starts coming through that's less than great, that's not good for the people that are drinking it. That's not good for the people that are bathing in it. That's just not great.
Yeah.
But if this was in a system where the money was being centralized, or however you want to put it, and protected, that it could go in to rebuild, reshape, remake, redo.
Watched over by AI as well.
That we get the very best of water, we get the very best of air, we get the very best of stuff. You know, we're not buying anything that's going to be detrimental because a few companies are like, yeah, fuck it.
Yeah.
Yeah? Because I'm going to favour profit over safety. Yeah, and that should never be allowed to happen. And then that's when the laws should really be used, is in those aspects. But again, it's very difficult when we've got a lot of companies that are paid, that are able to U-turn laws that we've got.
Mm-hmm.
Because perhaps they might want to cut corners and do this. I'm not saying that all of them, but some. A few rotten apples. So what should happen with these assets in order to stop this? Because this breaks the backs of a lot of individuals when we go past that stability and this growth. And we want our assets to grow with our inflation so that we've got enough to conquer our debt. Less debt, more money. More money, more opportunity. More opportunity, more enterprises happen, such as space. We can reach space, we can reach Europa, we can reach other planets, we can mine them, we can take what's needed from these other planets to make Earth even better, to buy us some more time. We could build a spacecraft that allows us to get out into space for when the time comes, or at very least start building it, because the future will thank us for it. You know, our ancestors walked through dark times. We ourselves, although we don't realize it, nor did our ancestors, that we are walking through certain dark times, and that the things that we do now can make or break our futures.
Mm-hmm.
And the futures would be for our ancestors, although there wouldn't be ancestors, our future generations we would make or break. Some things our ancestors did is what led us to have a knife and fork today. Yes, that led most of this progression happening. But I think to be human is to be aware of your intention, and what you do now is the catalyst for the future.
Yeah.
And it helps support them and prop them up.
Mm-hmm.
So how would you prevent this from ever being sold, so that we get this sort of a situation that happens where we've got to plug gaps? Because, I mean, yeah, by and large, you can say what you like about Labour's current thing. They got to plug a hole of this much money, yes? And some people say, oh, it's not, it is, it isn't. But I don't know. I would quite believe that if things have been sold.
Mm-hmm.
But probably they don't want to say it, again, out of respect and different things like that. Or maybe it's not true at all. But even still, could you run the risk of selling this stuff? We've seen this across the planet that keeps happening. And that's very interesting to me, that that can happen. Now, I think that should never be allowed to happen, because it could cause a situation like now.
Yeah.
What could they do if they didn't have this gap to plug? What better things could they... And then it sort of stifles their ability to... Well, which it won't. It just means that they've just got a little bit more of a challenge to overcome. So you have to bear with the situation, yes?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Damn, if I could make some companies and start sticking it over straight into the tax pot, this would then free up money. And sure, not all of the problems are going to disappear overnight. The problems that would have ceased to exist now, inadequacies with health, inadequacies, and it would be great if we could make a universal health system that could work around the entirety of the world, that allowed people access to free health. Do you get what that could be able to prop and support individuals from up the top to at the bottom? Yeah, this would be a wonderful thing, right?
Yeah.
Never have to sweat a day about it, and then spread this around the entirety of the world. What a statement. No one would ever need to sweat about NHS anymore, or never being able to see a doctor and being access to free healthcare, if you want to say it that way.
Yeah.
And it spreads around the world.
Yeah.
I mean, that's amazing to take with you. You can't take money with you, you can't take profit, you can't take assets, but the knowledge of what you did, I believe you take this with you. This comes on with you.
Yeah.
Knowing that you were a part of that, I think that's something to be... I would be very fascinated with that, to be honest. And whether you're religious or not, that... What a story that you can take. Well, what did you do? Well, I made this much money. Or... we ended poverty. We ended the disproportionate, with some places have access to this and some places don't. We ended that. You did? Tell us more. Tell me. You would captivate an awful lot of individuals in that. It depends on what your belief system is after the fact. So how could you really protect that? I think that, here we have a king, yes?
Yeah, we have a king.
And a queen.
Yeah.
And again, is that right? Well,
Queen.
yeah. Well, that'll do. That'll do. We're not going to get hung up on all of this. But if they were to protect this, all of this stuff, I'm just going to make examples here. Bus, train, houses.
Water.
Water.
And more and more.
And so on. And solar farms, yeah? And then any company that is worthy enough. I mean, what do we say? S Farms, yes.
Yeah.
Space.
Yeah.
And so on, whatever these may be, mining and different things like that, other stuff. Air. And so on, right? All of these things that, let's say, under...
Oh, cute. Yeah, under the crown.
Under the crown is then protected, that none of these things can be sold at all.
Yeah.
In order to protect everyone that is within this. And then we get to see, as time goes on and things rise up and everything goes up bit by bit, doesn't it? But this jumps into a tax pot. All of the proceed, the profit, if you want to say, comes out of that, goes in here.
Yeah.
And as it begins to go in there, we keep climbing up, steady, with the money that is generated into this. And wouldn't you feel proud? Oh, I missed NHS.
Yeah.
Wouldn't you feel proud that every time you bought a medicine from your doctor, that money was going back into your tax pot? Whatever, every time you paid your bill for water, it was going back into the pot. Every time that you did the very basic things of pay your rent each month, it's going back into the system that will eventually come back to you, whether that is education,
Yeah.
better roads,
Yeah.
and then this frees up this very vital thing, money, for .gov to use to build what? Better jobs. Let's say that .gov have an idea, Len, yeah? Group of politicians come together with good ideas. And they're like, well, we're thinking about starting up this endeavour. We want to go to Europa and try and collect the water from Europa, for argument's sake. We want to see if we can use the sun to convert that salty water into fresh water, providing there's no life there, because if not, there'll be a lot of red tape over that. But somewhere along the lines in the future, they will override that red tape. It will take the life from it, put it into a biome, and then time to start collecting water, right? If, yes, once this water is, they will say, well, this is what we're going to need. We're going to need workers.
Yeah.
Who wants to do it? And loads of people are like, well, I subcontract in doing this. I can help you in this aspect. And then other people are coming back to because they say, oh, I do this, this, and this. .gov then have this stuff called money for workers, material or resources, yes?
Yeah.
I'm just going to keep it at re because I'm running out of space. They have the money for resources, yes?
Yeah.
And the workers. And then what else do we need for that? Then we're going to need some fuel, right?
Yeah.
Type of fuel? Testing. What about testing to see if we can if it's even achievable to do all of this sort of stuff?
Yeah.
What do we then, bit by bit, begin to be able to do? .gov keeps everyone together, gets these ideas going,
Yeah.
thinking about this. How valuable is that to... The objective is to add it into here. So we could call it water mining. Water mining. You know, let's take it from there first before we start draining the sea, right? Right? Because the methane under the, future time. To be able to add it to here, that once it started happening, this started going, and then this was able to be collected, put near the sun, evaporated, extract the salt. You know, a new type of salt that you sprinkle over your fish and chips, right?
Yeah.
It come from Europa. What a thing to say, right? All protected under here, which is then got kick-started via here, which then drives the workers, which puts decent pay in your pocket. From this pot, our debts are going down. Record debts dropping. Our national debt, is that what it's called?
Yeah.
I'm just going to call it end debts.
Yeah.
Start to go down. How much more of a happier country would we build where everybody begins to start to work together? Like a clock, yeah, is one way to say it, but we keep building into this. Why? Because it benefits everybody. The rich, the poor. Yes, this begins to start benefiting everybody in this. Not just a few, but everyone.
Yeah.
And isn't this what this all stands for? Everyone.
Yeah.
All people in these aspects, all people in these places, from manufacturers to get this endeavor off the ground. Not only that, it gets programmers to program this would take a whole national effort to get this done. If our food was taken care of, and we're going to be traveling there for an X amount of time. Hey, farmers, now that you've got a bit of free time, could you reckon that I could borrow your attention with your expertise in growing food? Could you work with these people over here to see, with your expertise put into this, do you think that you could all come together in order to put some sort of growing and see how far away from the star, because when you're hitting Europa, that's quite a distance, nature would grow? On the back of our mining for water, we will designate an extra bit into that to see whether you could put your expertise in to know what would grow and at what distance away. So that when this water came back, it came back with produce or food. And we say, well, we don't really need the food because our other ones are producing a lot more. Is there any other nation out there that needs some food? Well, we plan to lift you up with us. We got excess amount of water. We've got excess amount. Oh, we found some fuel there as well. Oh, we found this. Oh, we've discovered this, salt, this. And then you start to utilize that. So, when farmers, let's say, that their expertise are put into AI, they would need to maintain that AI. You need this knowledge to see if you can make it better. Your time is now freed up to focus in on this. Can we use your knowledge? And how far can we bend it? How far can we bend your knowledge? Do you think you could put it into this to help us on this? And then that leaves the coders to do what they need to do by listening to these individuals. The people that are then manufacturing the biome for these places to grow, they're working with this, and this. The farmers are working with them to say the space, which then helps the people that then are insulating it, making it radio, because radiation and different things from the sun, perhaps, and Jupiter's radiation, especially it's not Van Allen belts, can't remember what they're called now, but even still, James Van Allen and Pioneer said there's this much radiation coming off of it. To work with engineers, electricians, if you want to say that would then know how to protect not only the produce, but also the wiring, but also the light, but also this. Is there any way that we can use that radiation to power lights or energy sources? There's another company. Could we borrow you from car manufacturers or different things like this? Do you think you could give this a test on here as well? It doesn't just become one rocket going there to collect water in the beginning. That's how you go. But this grows. Yeah. But when it gets successful under one government, then another government gets voted in. Yeah, we think we want to add a bit more to that. I wonder if we could do this, this, and this. How many cars do you reckon we could get built on that rocket using robots or different things like that? By the time it comes back, it's going to be traveling that way anyway. It's not going to be doing much in these times. Can we make an energy that is being supplied? First off, it's solar panels, then it gets further away, and then it uses the magnetic field of Jupiter to keep these machineries operating. How many cars can we get put on there? I mean, what the hell, man? We're collecting water, now we're growing food, now we're adding... Utilize the time for when it's going there, or build other crafts that could be dotted around Jupiter, ready for when the time comes. They let go of them when they're near Jupiter, of another sort of habitat that's being built up there. On your journey to there, is it possible to build that, leave it there, and then come back with what you needed to in the first? I mean, this then begins to build. And then, I dare say it, we would then start to look at our country as being proud of it. Of all the things that we could build, and not just as a country, but as an entire world eventually, if we all get together on this. I think that this would be a better future for everybody involved, to be honest. Sure, there are going to be problems, but if we have to let go of, like, food is just being grown left, right, and centre, and it's well away, do you have to worry about it? No. What can you then focus on if you don't need to worry about that? This. What else could you focus on if you didn't need to worry about this, and this? Well, this. Can you still have a good time? Yes. Do you still get money in your pocket? Yes. Is there still things to buy? Well, yes. It just goes that these things are already being taken care of. It frees up your time to look at new endeavors and reach the stars. That's what I mean by saying that could you then outmaneuver the planet? Could you then begin to outrun? Yes. If you do these things, it's guaranteed that you can then, when the time comes, we can leave. When the time comes for the solar system starts to, we're talking many ions in the future, but even still, just by doing these little bits, we just make that future for when that time comes so much more easier.
Yeah.
So much more, well, it's still going to have its problems, I'm sure, but it makes it more achievable. And is that the gift of life? Is that what we've all been blessed with? The knowledge to be able to do something not only about our own fate, but also the fate of every single being that we find in the solar system. Like, let's say we discover some life in Europa or in the oceans, yes? We don't want to harm those, so let's collect those too and add them to let's say, the ship by this time. We can take those. And then we can take the water, and then we can all share the water. Yes, converting it this way, making it salty for these creatures. Okay, fair enough. Yes, like we would do the ocean creatures. We could make the water salty, but then, okay, they've got way too much water and not enough life in there. Mm-hmm. And then we can just convert some of this into some more water just to support a human colony, and then this way and then back and forth. And I dare say, but again, it starts probably when we're more on the ground. Sorry, I like to venture off into space. So I always wander away and then I bring myself back down to... just back to reality just a little bit more, even though all of this to me is very achievable, but we all got to work together. And this disproportionate, we will never be able to do it if we're so disproportionate in different things. And then this tax pot. And I say, would I ever have to pay tax? Well, yes, off your working tax. Why? Why would you not? Because I reckon that people will be like, yeah, go for it. No one will ever question tax again because they'll know that it's going into this cycle.
Would be nice if the tax was easy to do as well.
Yeah, but
instead of tax here, tax there, tax over there, do one.
And then all of this stuff that you use and operate in the meantime, that when you pay it, it's going back into this, which then is going into this, which is then going into this. And, as much as this all does all of this, what else does it do? I'd say it guarantees your future. Not just your own, but it guarantees your children's future. Mm-hmm. It guarantees that they will have decent jobs. Mm-hmm. Sure, they're going to have their own problems, but those can be eradicated as the time comes. That's what we want to build this. I would say build it into more of a pyramid, but I didn't have enough room to do that. Again, I like pyramids anyway, but I could get more blocks into it, I reckon. More pretty on the eye as well. And then, if our debts get down, wow. What is it? GDP?
Yeah.
Would then go up. We could come like a Dubai, but not in our own planet, but a space version of Dubai. Mm-hmm. Yes, with all of that sort of technology that just begins to run away, and it must be protected. That it can't be sold, because this would put us backwards. It seems to do that, and then we get so stagnated, and then we got to ask ourselves the question: is this leaving us wide open for someone to just come marching in to our politics, sell this, sell that, sell this, sell that, sell this, bye bye? Yeah. Right? We could just be kicked all the way down to crumbs. Mm-hmm. So you need protecting. Never sell it.
Yeah.
Never sell it. We keep it for the greater good. And sure, we can adapt it, change it, to make it more and more and more and more. And when we're paying this out, well, we feel good. You feel good because it's going into this, this and this. Yes, it's paying staff wages. Yes, it's paying for this, this and this. But no CEO, and it goes mainly into the pot. The pot's open. Did you want to start a business? Well, we've got a bit of cash set aside for that. Here, try and see what you can do. Obviously, we're not going to be a fountain to give this always. But here, see what you can do with this. And then it gets our schools and education. Okay, Bright Sparks, what you got? Well, we got this, this, and this. You lot seem to all work together very well. Okay, let's see if you can do something with that.
Yeah.
And perhaps they're very good at starting it up, and then are like, we don't want to continue it. Okay, no, that's fine. We will find other workers to fill the. Yeah, and what else have you got? Oh, we got this. Oh, there's money in here. Okay, let's see if you can do that again. You've just now made back 3 times what you've already put into that. Or you took the first time, you've now put back 3 times that by setting up a company that is highly beneficial for everybody. We're going to keep this one into the main net. Okay, people start to fall out of favour of this one. We'll turn this one dormant. We'll keep it dormant. We'll keep it there just in case there's a need for it later on. But if there's not, we're just going to leave that as dormant. Why do we leave it as dormant? Well, just in case it picks back up and we might need it later on. Oh, there was this old program once. Yeah, this could work around Europa, or it could work around Enceladus, or different things like that. Yeah, we already got the... If it's stored in with AI, it already knows what to do. It can quickly refresh you. People built this itself. I need this worker. Okay, all right, not sure on that, but we could study up on this. Okay, yeah. Blah, blah, blah. In it goes, off it goes again. So it just becomes, yeah, and then another one, bright sparks. What have you got? Sorry, I often look at children as bright sparks, and the next bright sparks, that their ideas that they come out with are just, so off the cuff, right? Catch you straight off guard. And yeah, I think that if they're coming out with this stuff, because I remember some things in school, like where we were getting together, building these different things and doing all of that, this, that, and the other. This was with bridges and different stuff like that. Still, again, some of these bridges that some made were so indestructible. Literally were indestructible, but again, it was just a project that probably goes into a bin somewhere at the end of it. I often wonder if anyone would have got behind those, what type of bridges would we have these today? And that was then when they were in, middle school? That's interesting to me. That is wasted talent there. It's just, yeah, okay. That's a wasted talent. These individuals should have been given a shot at that and then think, these are pretty good bridges. Again, it gets going, or it builds something up for somebody else, but I don't know, there's a lot of red tape over slave labour and different things like that, I think, in that aspect. But very strange to me, that is. It's very... Not if they've got it, they've got it. That's what you're looking for, isn't it? That, you've got it. Someone might not be very good at that, but in something else, cool, you're pretty good at it. You've got it. You got it, the group of team building, the class, whatever, this, and this. If they've got it, they've got it. Okay, well, we try you with this. As long as it's safe enough. Wow, why not? That would be a good incentive. That would make an interest in school, and you would be learning something that is valuable. Very valuable. How to kickstart things. How to get things going. How to team build. Maybe it's a one-off. Maybe it's a continuous thing. I think that's beneficial to a nation. Any nation. Yeah, I'm going to leave this one here because I think I covered it where I wanted to cover it. It beats being back down here, because that to me is like Stone Age. When you start to rise up, and you've got this steady income, and then you drop all the way back down to... It's like going back to the Stone Age, isn't it? Weird and wonderful, but again, do you think if we shifted the way we saw and what we had, and thought, how could we do this? Do we need a CEO to get that absolutely minted on it, and then always pass the tax on to the individuals? No, I don't think so. You're haggling over, you've got 40 billion, but you're haggling over $1 billion, which leaves you with 39 billion. I don't know. You must have built something behind the scenes that you can take all of this money with you somehow. Then that goes into the next and the next and the next and the next. I don't know. Oh, if you're born into money, does it make you quite as that? Stereotyping, I shouldn't. If you're born without money, does it make you the same way? I'm not 100% sure. Whether it causes more problems than it does good. Yeah, I don't know. 40 turns into 100 billion, and then I'm more richer than you. I don't know. That just feels like such an old system that it served its purpose, in my opinion on that. But again, I'm only this end of the coin, but I don't know. Yeah. Nope, I'm going to leave it here. That's where I'm at. I'm going to leave it here.